Welcome to the Progression Show. Today, I have an exceptional guest, Michael Lane. Today, he's going to share with you the key strategies that he took, as well as him and his partners took, from taking his business from 2 events to over 500 events, bringing it to up to now over $150 million. A father, an executive, a decision maker, but most importantly, a leader, is going to share with you the key strategies as you, an entrepreneur, a positive-minded individual, can take your business from where it is today and scale to the next level. Let's get this interview started. All right, Michael, man, thank you so much for being on the show. First and foremost, so what we're going to do on this journey that we're going to take this audience through is we're going to start with where you're at right now and then kind of backtrack to where you are so we can have an understanding. Because we'll start with the success and then go down. So you're the managing director of Success Resources, literally the #1 promoter for these live events. And I'm in your space, so I'm so curious to learn, Michael, what is it like to be in your position nowadays?
Yeah, look, we're here in beautiful Los Angeles, and yesterday we had a big event, and it's one event of 500 we'll do this year. So it's cool, Jimin. It's great to be able to associate and partner with amazing people. I love doing business at scale, and when we first started out, it was all small and hard work, and it's difficult. But having a business that's changing people's lives is really important. I've had businesses where it doesn't change people's lives, and it's not that impactful, and it's not something that's going to make a difference in people's lives. This just feels fun and exciting to me. So I love, being able to travel around the world and go to some cool events and meet some cool people and hang out with people like you.
Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed about you, Michael, and I really acknowledge this, I'm someone that my father wasn't always there in my life. And I follow you on social media, and I say to myself, wow, the opportunity to be an entrepreneur, run multiple businesses, and still be dad at home. What is your secret, or what is the secret sauce? As I'm about to be a father, I don't know, maybe in the next 15 years, not anytime soon.
Yeah.
But what would be the secret sauce for the fathers and the family out there that wants to be an entrepreneur, that's a professional salesperson or just a high-level producer, and they're having challenges with the family at home?
Yeah, look, I must admit, it's not easy. I travel, this is my 11th trip this year. That takes a toll on the family and those kind of things.
All right.
It's really important to have a partner who's on the same page as you. So my wife and I, she's my co-CEO. We do everything, we make decisions together, and she's on board with this, right? She understands what's important to me and what I want to achieve. So that makes it easier from a family perspective.
Gotcha.
Then when you roll in all the business stuff, I try and maximize my time in business. So for example, I'm here for 4 days. As Simon will attest to, there are no downtime.
Right.
Every single moment is accounted for, and if I can be here a day less, I'll do that to get home to the family. So prioritizing, scheduling, maximizing your time will help when it comes to balancing your life. For me, when I am home, I'm super present with my kids. They know that I travel, and they know that what I do is important for us as a family, but it's also important for the people that I'm helping. So you've got to have that ability to be able to structure and find order in your life in whatever zone you're in. If I'm on my business zone, I ain't, flying in 3 days early to climatize and sit by the pool. I'm in within an hour or two, we're doing business, right? So yeah, I think it's difficult for young entrepreneurs with families, but having your partner on board, maximizing your time, and when you are at home, being super present, that's important.
So to dissect kind of what you shared from the entrepreneur side is that you need to prioritize your time ahead of time, pretty much schedule your day. So as soon as you landed in the U.S. in California, you already knew that, hey, this is what my schedule is moving forward over the next couple of days. Yeah. And if there's white space, add something in there.
That's it. So for example, I found out this afternoon one of my meetings has been pushed a couple of hours. So I went out and I got another podcast coming at 2:00. So gotcha. I had a meeting at about 2:30 or 2:45 that's been pushed till 5:00 now.
Right.
So I don't want to just sit in here and do nothing, right? I don't want to maximize my time. So I went out social media and I found someone who wants to do a podcast. So Yeah, I think when you prioritize and put a value on your time, you start to really respect that, and you start to go, well, I can't sit in my hotel room for 2 hours doing nothing. I've got to maximize my time.
What does the podcast mean to you? Why do it?
I want to share the knowledge that I've experienced over the years with people who may not be at the level we're at just yet, but I also want to be a reflection of our business. You know, this business is a difficult business, but we're in the business of helping people. And if I can share some wisdom and knowledge, even if you're not in the industry we're in, but you're in business, and if I can share that in a way and have a reflection of who the business is, I strongly believe that the business is a reflection of me.
Right.
And if I'm not growing, leading, moving forward, then I don't believe the business will. So I just put a huge value on my hour, and I don't want to leave any hour not getting a return.
Gotcha. Now, does it help your bottom line though? When you're doing the podcast, when you're doing the social media presence, does it support your bottom line?
Yes, it does, but I'm not doing this for an ROI, right? I'm doing this to grow brand, grow credibility, grow value. However, I am getting an ROI on this.
Gotcha.
So let's say that I do some podcasts, meet some cool people, do some different things. My audience grows. My connection with people grow. I reach out and I have meet cool people like you who then want to continue with our message. So again, I'm doing this not to get a return on investment,
But it does support.
but it does support it.
Gotcha. Perfect. And what does the children think about daddy being away? So we are doing a little bit of flip flop. But what does the children think about daddy being away?
Yeah, they understand. Well, let's be clear. I got an 18-month-old little girl who has no idea what's going on. My 8-year-old son is a mini entrepreneur in the making.
Yeah.
I can already see it. And he understands that daddy's away making money.
Did you start working at that at a young age?
I did. Only because he showed signs of interest in that. And
Okay.
for me, he's going through a lot of the little traits that I was going through at that age. So I think there's a really important age between 5 and 8 where you really start to develop your values and your traits and who you are. When he started showing signs of that, I pushed back. I pushed down on that. When he was saying, Dad, I love that fast car. Look at those things. How did that guy get that car? And why do some people choose
You start
Fords?
asking questions.
When they ask questions like that, I could identify pretty quickly that he was built the same way I was built. And I started to instill in him little things, not pushing hard, but little things to get him to truly identify that personality type of his.
Understood. Now back to the business. When you're working in your company, what's your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, look, my day's pretty crazy. I have about 14 slots in my day. So let's just start right at the beginning. I'm getting up, I'm going through a process in the morning for me to connect. I call it the calm before the storm. For me, the storm is everyday life, business, and all the stuff that happens. I want to find my calm before I hit that storm. So the calm for me is get up, do a bit of a meditation process, hit the gym, do some kind of physical activity, get the body going. And by the time I get to the office at 9 o'clock after dropping my son at school, I got 14 slots there. And my team my assistant knows that those 14 slots...
30-minute slots?
Yeah, 30, even 15 minutes. I'm trying to reduce my slots, the time invested right now, even down to 15-minute slots.
Gotcha.
So traditionally there's been 14 slots in my day, and if they're not being used, then someone's got to fill it up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the way that you set up your business or your day is that you say, hey team, I got 14 slots, we got to fill it up. Whether it's a 30-minute slot or a 15-minute slot, but we got to fill it up.
Yeah. So to give you some idea, most of it will be full 2 weeks out.
So your schedule is packed for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So if I went into my diary right now, the day I get back, that day will be full.
Gotcha.
And if it's not, my team will know that fill that up or someone else is going to fill it up.
What are they filling it up with?
You know, key meetings with executives, meetings with new staff. Do you mean I like to meet all new staff after the 3rd month they've been in the business? Podcasts I'm doing.
After the 3rd month, who's been in the business?
of a new staff member.
Oh, staff. Okay, got it.
New staff member
Understand.
coming in, I want to meet them, right?
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah, look, most of those slots are taken with executive team members who, need to get a decision or need to get an outcome. But it could be content related, it could be filming, it could be podcasts, it could be whatever it is. It could be collaborations and meetings. But typically, when I walk into the office every day, those slots are full.
Gotcha. It's very interesting, actually, Michael, because I don't know how many have you done a lot of interviews with other promoters?
No, not really.
So it's very interesting because as I was looking at the content that you have produced, I'm like, hey, who else is asking questions regarding like kind of like the inside details of the business, so that way they can have like at least a picture in their mind of what their business could look like in the future, if they put in the work. And so I'm very elated to be here with you because now, we had a talk off camera about what the business could look like in the future.
Yeah.
Seeing 1.5 events per day, scaling. And so really, what is the overall direction? So once you started, you started in the company in 2003.
Yeah.
You were a salesperson in 2003. You left and owned your own couple of businesses, which we'll get back to. But in Success Resources, when you came back in 2009, what's really the overall direction from 2003 all the way to now in the last 17 years that you've been going to? Take us back to 2003 to now.
Yeah, look, 2003, we're doing 2 events a year. We're doing a Tony Robbins UPW, and we're doing what we were calling was, it's essentially a National Achievers Congress, one of our core brands now. But that we would do those 2 events a year. That's it, right? And if you fast forward to today, we're doing 1.5 events a day. So somewhere in the world this week, there will be 10 events plus happening. So that sounds exciting, and there's a lot of growth there. But geez, there's a lot of heartache to get to that as well, right?
Yeah.
And you don't just go from 2 events to 500. It's like you go from 2 to 8. To then 15 to 20. And then we scaled pretty quickly because what I realized is it's not that difficult to scale wide when I deal with a partner. For example, when you go to Tony Robbins and say, hey, instead of just doing Sydney and Singapore, why don't we do Sydney, Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong? And while we're there, then maybe let's go to Dubai, and then we might go to the UK and do some stuff in Europe and then finally get back to America. So all of a sudden now we went from 20 to like 120 pretty quickly because we decided to scale in 2011 or 12. And we just said, well, it's actually not that hard getting those speakers to go on a bit of a world tour than just trying to get them to Australia and Asia. So it grew quickly, and then we started doing more joint ventures and more partnerships, and then went from 120 to like 300. So there's an evolution there. There's almost 20 years there, but it's, there's a lot of heartache in between there.
So because I don't have context and because I wasn't there and I don't have the experience, so it's challenging for me to even ask these questions. But what are the key experiences that you had, the aha moments, you or the whole organization had an aha moment where it was like, hey, this is what's taking us to the next level right now. This key determining factor is really what's taking us to the next level.
Yeah, look, I think it was the overall demand for where the business, for where the clients wanted, right? So in 2003, you used to ring people and they would say, man, I'm not into personal development. I don't need motivation. I don't need that. Fast forward to today, if you don't have goals, if you're not success orientated, if you're not motivated, then you're really, it's not going to work for you, right? So the demand for personal development scaled in the last 10 years rapidly. So we go to events and clients just want to be around events. They want to grow, they want to develop. And it's easier now than ever. So look, there was a tipping point, and I tell you where the tipping point was for me was 2008, 9, and 10. When this financial crisis happened, we saw people make a decision to go, you know what? My job is not secure anymore.
Got it.
My life is not secure anymore because some of the biggest organizations just collapsed.
Right.
If that's the case, that could happen to my little company who hires me or to their corporation. So they started to go, I need to equip myself with some knowledge, some skills, and maybe start a side hustle so that if anything like that happens again, I'm secure. So while I would hate for another global financial crisis to happen, in 2008, 9, 10 is where our business started to really ramp up.
Gotcha.
Clients went, you know what? Now's the time I need to work on myself.
And then during that time, did that happen in Australia as well?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Got it. You know, I was in eighth grade when that happened, so
There you
I,
go,
so I'm
yeah.
learning. So, and during that time, how did you take it? What were your personal experiences when that happened?
Well, again, Australia didn't hit the crisis that hard. There were a number of things that meant that we weren't affected as much as the rest of the world. So
Well, more so personally.
personally, you know, I mean, in 2008 and 9, I was coming out of some businesses that failed, and I had very little money. I had no money in 2008, but I wasn't affected by that. I had my own challenges and self-inflicted problems. So
Let's dive deeper into that, because you shared something with me personally,
Yeah.
and I would love for you to share it with the audience, because what you did, I'm sure a lot of other people are doing as well, as far as like leaving an organization to go out and start their own. What was the reason that you left Success Resources?
Yeah, look, I started in 2003. I did I worked hard and was on the phone selling commission only tickets to Tony Robbins and those kind of things. And like any young, egotistical entrepreneur, I thought, you know what, I can do this myself, and I could probably do a few tours. So I left the business after 18 months, went and
So this is 24 years old now?
24, 25, yeah. And I started to promote John Maxwell, and I brought him to Australia. We did some cool stuff, and in that business, we turned over $1 million in the first 30 days.
Wow.
So you think about this, right? I'm a young kid who, you know, didn't really, you know, I was making 50 to 75 grand in my first year on the phones. Second year, I might have done 120 or so. And all of a sudden, you have $1 million hit your account.
Yeah.
You think you're the bomb, right? You think I'm shit hot. And I do believe that when you get elated, eventually you'll be humbled. So I was egotistical, I was cocky, and John Maxwell went through some health stuff. And within 9 months of that business, we had no more business.
As soon as John was not able.
And I learned this lesson early, is that I had one revenue stream. I had one partnership. And for people listening, that's a scary process. When your only revenue stream, who you think, great, this is making a lot of money, it's profitable, when you get the message that he ain't coming back and he ain't been doing anything for a long time, you start to go, wow, okay, I need to get into action. So after
So you
that,
had a mental shift right then and there.
yeah, do you mean I wasn't sophisticated enough to know that I needed multiple revenue streams.
Gotcha.
I needed multiple partnerships. I needed things to hedge something like that. You're just young and cocky and moving forward, and then you get humbled, and you're like, wow, didn't see that coming. So I'm always saying to entrepreneurs, if you got something, do it as a side hustle. Don't leave your main revenue stream to go try something else. Get a couple of revenue streams so you don't just up and leave. But 9 months later, and after spending a lot of that money on stupid shit, you go, I need to do some other stuff. So, as we spoke off camera, it's that I went and tried a whole heap of stuff. We started an energy drink company. I had a perfume distribution business, and we even went and bought a nightclub. So you do all these different things because you think you're a boss, right? You think, no, I can't go work for someone else now. I've made money. I know what it's like. But then there was 2 to 3 years of just like, damn, this ain't working. Spending all my money, all my time, got nothing left. And then it was 2008 where my now business partner said, why don't you come back? Why don't we have another go at this? I'm like, nah, I'm not coming back. 2009, he convinced me to come back. And I came back and I made some good money for me in the time quickly. And I thought, this feels right. I was helping people again. I was passionate about it. And the money came effortlessly. Because the last 3 years before that, the money was not coming effortlessly.
You were grinding for that.
I was grinding hard for that. And I wasn't coming in. So when you make money effortlessly and you have fun doing it, is that maybe something that sings true to you? Is that something you're passionate about? And for me, I reconnected with that. And since that day, money's never been a problem in my life. And that was, I think this is the 10th or 11th year.
So did your ego drop?
No, I learned how to manage the ego.
You learned how to manage the ego.
Yeah, I don't think the ego never dissipates.
Gotcha.
You know, you just learn how to manage it. So I identified how I could start serving rather than serving myself.
Got it.
When you put your attention on a bigger purpose than just yourself, you can tame the ego and you can turn it down, or you can channel it in ways that you use as a benefit.
Understood. Many of my audience members are speakers because I've been doing speaker training for the last 3 years. And the biggest question, I just did a campaign over the last 30 days, and we have 1,600 applicants for next year's tour that I'm hosting.
Awesome.
And so the biggest question I get is, Andy, how do I get on your stage? So equivalently for you, on the Success Resources stage, how does a speaker apply or get on your stage?
Yeah, look, we're in a fortunate position now where we have a lot of people who reach out to us and want to be on our stage. And while we have 500 stages, and we have about 5 speakers per event, I definitely don't want, all brand new speakers on my thing. So what I try and do is do partnerships where it's like, Andy, why don't we do a partnership and we do something for the next 6 months, and I'll have you in Australia, Asia, US, UK, and Europe, right? So that will hopefully get somebody on a particular tour. But to actually get on the tour, you've got to prove yourself. It's got to be profitable. It's got to be amazing impact for clients. And if it's not having a ongoing residual effect on our clients, then I'm not that interested. So I get down to, if people come to me and say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm like, cool, show me the P&L.
Gotcha.
Show me what you're doing. Plus, invite me to your next event and let me see it. So, yeah, it's a process we go through. There's a due diligence stage that we have to take. But, if we go through that and it works, I can scale people pretty quickly.
Understood. Now, when it's a new speaker, so what advice do you have for the new speakers?
Yeah.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of it and I'm gonna actually share it with my trainees.
Yeah. So it all depends on how you want to scale your education business. I believe there's 2 areas of the speaking game. There's people who do keynotes and get paid for keynotes, and there's educators. Keynotes get paid anything from $2,000 to $200,000 if you're a celebrity or a sports star or whatever. But you're doing the same 45-minute talk for the rest of your life. And if you didn't win a gold medal, you didn't captain your country in that sport, or you're not a business tycoon, you're probably not going to make the money that you would like. So I always encourage people, become an educator. Become somebody who goes out there, builds a platform for their clients to be able to go through and to advance their life in some way. So if you have a look at those 2 platforms, I'm looking for the educators. I'm looking for the people who have got a unique message and want to become an expert in that space. If you do that, then you're going to position yourself very differently. You're going to position the way you talk, the way you promote, the way you sell. And those 2 categories is what your partners or your followers need to pick. Are they educators or keynote speakers? One is a lot more exciting and a lot more fulfilling.
The educator or the keynote?
The educator.
Okay.
The one is a lot more profitable. And
the educator.
That's the educator.
Of course, right?
Of course. And people, we need to build more leaders in this world. That's
the educator would be considered the platform closer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, if you're out there and you want to be an educator, you need to go through processes very differently. And if you want to be on your stage or my stage, you need to follow a certain path. There's nothing worse than coming across an amazing speaker who's built their model that's not scalable for someone like you and me.
Right.
For example, in my game, you want to be an amazing closer at about a 75-minute talk.
Okay.
I have a lot of people come to me and go, I've got this amazing product, I sell it so well, and I need the whole day to do it. I'm like, dude, I can't help you with that.
Yeah,
I don't care how good you are, I can't find a day.
That's a lot of time.
A lot of time. Then there's people who come to me and go, dude, I've got the 75-minute pitch down perfectly, and I sell a $37 product. I'm like, great.
It's too low.
It's too low. So if you're listening to this and you want to be on your stage or on my stage, find and follow the model of having someone like us scale your business.
Right.
75 minutes where you offer amazing value to the audience. And you can move them to take action to go follow the next part of your journey. Have a pricing model that makes sense for someone like us to scale. And make sure that you're marketable, you're presentable, and you're able to be someone that we can partner with, and you're a good dude. Do you mean, I know that sounds weird. There's a lot of people who have 3 out of those 4, but they're just not good people. You mean they
So you're going through a lot of people to get your speakers.
I'm going through a lot of work to get speakers, right? Now, more often than not, I will tap on the speaker's shoulder because I've been seeing them, following them, or hearing them, and I can see what they're doing. And even if they're not ready to go on my stage, I'll tap them on the shoulder and say, love what you're doing, love who you are. If you need help scaling your education business, come to me and I'll show you how to do it. You mean Jay Shetty is a friend, and him and I have been working for the last 12 months or so, catching up, and I'm helping him with his model. So he ticks all those boxes, except he didn't have a financial model to his programs and to what he did. So
to have a higher lifetime value.
Yeah, to have a higher lifetime value. So he ticked all the boxes, but didn't know, should I be selling this program? Should I do that? So, every time I come to Los Angeles, we catch up and we work on, what it is he's passionate about and how we can share it with the world and make it profitable for him and for the clients.
Now, in our business, there's the promoters and then the speakers. Should promoters be sticking to promoters, or can promoters kind of cross path and be a speaker as well?
I think it's a dangerous mix, and I'll tell you why. Most speakers aren't good business owners. Most business owners aren't good speakers, right? So I never want to be on stage and speak. My game is promoting the world's best people. Soon as I start to put my attention on myself becoming the expert and wanting to be on stage, I lose focus on everything else in my business. I've seen too many speakers who are amazing speakers who go out there and go, you know what? I'm now going to start my own company and I'm going to do this myself, and I'm now a speaker and a promoter.
Right.
So I'm not saying you can't do both, and it's rare. Some people do both. But for me, I have seen too many people who are amazing at one try and do the other, and they're both areas of the business fail.
Understood.
Right? So my intention for somebody, if you're a speaker, focus on that. Hire a CEO. Hire a company to promote for you. Find a way for you to just be able to do what you're passionate about.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean? It's like too many people go, I'm the speaker, I'm the CEO, I'm the marketer, I'm this, and
I'm the salesperson.
And the salesperson, everything. Now, in the beginning, you got to do it all. So let's be really clear about that. But if you are a world-class speaker, speak and set up a business model that doesn't need you to be focusing on what's happening with staff today, what's happening with sales and marketing. You just speak.
Focus on the content and the speaking business aspect.
That's it.
Okay.
Or better yet, come and find someone like me or you who can do all the heavy lifting for them. Do you mean, I have a number of partnerships right now where they've fired their sales and marketing team. They don't have a sales and marketing division.
Oh, because you've taken over.
Because I do that part for them, right? So that makes their model a lot more profitable. You mean, they've got they might have a general manager and an events team. And the events team turn up, do all the hard work. I fill the room, I do all that heavy lifting. They just show up, do what they're amazing at, and leave. right?
Gotcha.
That's the ideal way to do it.
There's a year zero speaker that I'm talking about, like they have this goal, but they want to do it fast. They're hungry, they want to do it fast. What strategy do you think they should do to get started? Should they host their own events, or should they really focus on, hey, I'm a speaker, I want to get on your stage?
So
Not necessarily yours, because they wouldn't, but
Sure.
but on another promoter stage.
yeah, look, if you're an amazing speaker and you have this talent and the audience knows that, I would try and partner and joint venture with as many promoters as you can,
Okay.
right? Of course, if you have the ability to attract leads and clients, do that as well, because it's a bit of a cart before the horse thing. A promoter's not going to want you unless you've got
Already
some
sees,
proven track record. However, if you try and do it yourself for so long, it'll take you years to get to where you want to be.
All right.
So if you want to do it fast, is prove to a partner, prove to somebody that you have this ability to be able to get on, work, and close and be amazing. You do that, you'll get another gig out of them pretty
100%,
quickly,
100%.
right? So, I'm right into, I've been 20 years in business, various businesses. It doesn't need to be slow. I've seen this now, right? You can build businesses fast if you know what you're doing. I spent so much time in my life building things slowly by trying to do it myself. Go do partnerships, do joint ventures, find people who can accelerate this journey for you. And if I'd known this or done this earlier, I'd be so much further in my career. So find amazing partners, find people you can collaborate with. Give them the lion's share of the first couple of deals. Prove to them what you can do. And then eventually your credibility and your cash will equilibrate to a point where it's like this fair exchange now.
Gotcha.
But you've sped up the process. You've jumped 24 months in the process and you gave a bit of money away, you gave a bit of value away, but you might be in year 2 where most people are in year 7.
So to recap for the audience, to dissect that, essentially what you're saying is that for young entrepreneurs, whether it's the promotion business or it's the someone opening up their own entrepreneurship business as a plumber or whatever, is to, number one, do joint ventures and partnerships to start proving yourself. And then it's okay to give more of the pie up front so you can prove yourself, and then get to a point where you can kind of level off.
Yes. I believe too many people want to own 100% of their deal.
Yeah.
And they want to be the entrepreneur that does everything, right? After 20 years in this game, I'm like, I would rather take a lot less and give more money to other people in the process who can do a lot of the heavy lifting and get me to where I want to be quicker.
Got it.
So if you were starting out, I would, if you wanted to get on your stage or somebody's stage and said, you know what, you keep 100% of the sales. I know that sounds crazy, but you know what? I want to prove to you what I can do. I'll fulfill those sales. I'll do whatever you need. Get me on, I'll show you what I can do. You end up putting money in people's pocket, you're going to go around this thing again, right? That's how confident you need to be. Now, you need to do your maths. You need to do your numbers. If you can't give 100% away, make it 95%, whatever you can do. And if it means you need to put money out of your pocket, but you get on a stage that has 1,000 people and the promoter makes 100 grand off you, they're going to turn around and go, dude, are you available next month? I've got something else going on.
Of course.
Right? Too many people are wanting their lion's share at the front end. Give the lion's share away. Give it to somebody. Prove to yourself. This is a long journey. If you're in year 1 or 2, you don't need to make millions in the first year. And the reality of you making millions in the first year is highly unlikely. So do something bold. Do what the masses are not doing. Go to the promoter and go, check out my videos, see what I'm doing. Here's how I work. And you know what? You keep 100% of the money. I just want to prove to you that's how good I am. That's how confident I am. You do that, I tell you now, you might need to ask 2 or 3 different people. One of them will say yes.
Got it. In 2014, I started my first business at 19, opened up cell phone stores. Mm-hmm. Within 18 months, I made my first $1 million. Mm-hmm. And then I took that money, moved to California, and now I'm in this beautiful state of California. and I started splurging on things without working. I wasn't working for about a year.
Right.
And then that's when I got into the promotion business, working under Les Brown.
Yeah.
And then similarly, I collapsed. No income. I had $19 in my bank account until it clicked. Like, dude, you got to do something. And that's when I started promoting my own events. My question for you is, in that stage, because I'm sure there's a ton of people that are looking for motivation. Not only look for motivation, but looking for the actual system. I understood the drop the ego part, but what can an entrepreneur who's like, dude, I am not leaving my business. I'm not leaving the business. What are some things that the entrepreneur can do to get back to a financial point and then scale? Financial point that's safe and then scale.
Yeah. Let's assume that entrepreneur has an amazing product, has a revenue model that works, and they want to not leave their business, but they want to scale quickly, right? I still think joint ventures is an amazing way to do that. Go find people who have a non-competing business, but the same clientele as you.
Got it.
Right?
Non-competing, same clientele.
Same clientele. Let's talk about an example about that. Let's say you're a jeweler here in Beverly Hills, and you've got the most amazing watches, earrings, necklaces, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Go do a deal with Lamborghini of Beverly Hills. Go in there and try and say, hey, why don't we do this? I want to run an evening at your dealership. I want to hire it out, whatever it may be. I want my high-end clients to come in, and I'm going to showcase my new range of jewelry. All while they're walking around and got a champagne in their hand, and they've got 4 or 5 Lamborghinis in there, and they can get in there and they can just feel like they're driving it. You've got 2 clients for very different purposes who are actually the same client who could potentially buy a Lamborghini.
Right.
So that's a joint venture, right? Find non-competing businesses who have the same clientele and try and do something exciting.
And support them as well.
Support them as well and say, hey, I'm going to have 150 people turn up who are used to spending 50 grand a year with me on high-end jewelry. There's a likelihood that they've got a European car in their garage.
Yeah.
Let's do a deal. Let's find a way to make this collaborate, right?
Right.
And the dealer might go, you know what? Why don't we do this? I'll even give somebody, whoever spends the most with you on the night, I will give them a day in a Lamborghini, right? And then somebody gets in that Lamborghini for a day and goes, man, I love the way this feels. Does that person then maybe buy a Lamborghini at that point? Maybe, maybe not. But at some point they might go, damn, I love that feeling of being in that Lamborghini. I'm going to go back and see that sales manager, right? So find ways to do collaborations, joint ventures with non-competing businesses, and do win-wins. I mean, when I was growing up in business, it all had to be me. What can I do? The older I get, the more collaborations and partnerships I want to do, because I tap into clients that I never had access to before.
Understood.
I would, if I was younger and wanting to keep my own business and not give away the lion's share, I would still do more collaborations like that.
Gotcha. That was very valuable. Even the high end, whoever spends the most with you gets a Lamborghini for free for a day, because that means that person has the income to do so.
That's it.
So that's a nugget for y'all.
Yeah. So I learned all this off Jay Abraham.
Okay.
If your audience don't know who Jay Abraham is, this is one of the forefathers of marketing, right? And this will give you something to think about and your audience to think about. Testimonials today. I mean, testimonials have almost become a redundant thing. People don't do it. They don't think about it. Jay Abraham has about $14 billion of testimonials accredited to him saying, Jay, you helped my business bring in $300,000. So you think about $14 billion of documented testimonials of his coaching and training has brought in value to their business. This guy is the absolute expert in joint ventures and collaborations. I learned everything in this area from him. We had him at our event yesterday, and I would highly recommend you go listen to an interview between Tony Robbins and Jay Abraham. I listened to that interview 200 plus times in my car, and a lot of the ways that I do business right now, a lot of the collaborations and partnerships are based on his philosophies of those kind of joint ventures.
Gotcha. So so we're still on the scaling aspect because you shared between 2 to 8, no 2 to 20. That was kind of like the hustle and bustle part of the business, and then after 20, that's when it scaled much easily. Correct?
Yeah.
So between 2 to 8, what were the experiences that you and the team had to really experience that hustle and bustle? But hey, let's make more.
Well, you got to think about this, right? We're a little company in Australia.
Yeah.
Getting Americans, which is really where the talent is, to fly 14 hours to come and do some events in Australia, that was difficult, right? So we had a partnership with Tony, which made it easier. But to get from 8 to 20, you got to start finding new and exciting talent to give up not only a day on stage, but a week of their life with travel and all those kind of things. So we had to convince people to come all this way. Now it's so much easier, right? Because we've got 10 offices around the world.
So your challenge wasn't even the getting people in the seats. Your challenge was the
talent. The talent. When I got the talent, I could put them in the seats.
Is it because they drew already?
Because they drew a crowd, and because no one came to Australia. No talent was ever coming to Australia, right? So when you bring Tom Hopkins, and that's a much older dude for your audience, but you get the likes of Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, Jack Canfield, Wayne Dwyer, those kind of things, to make the journey over to Australia, people showed up for that, right? So that was the hardest part for me, was accessing the talent.
Understood. So you mentioned Zig Ziglar, and which sparked the remembrance that 2 months ago I held 2 events, one in Dallas, one in Houston, and the CEO of the Ziglar Corporation, Tom Ziglar, called me and said, "Hey, why don't you come speak?" Well, he wants to speak, so I had him speak, and I started recognizing about relationships in that instance. How do you build new relationships with highly successful people, and then how do you maintain them?
Yeah, look. One of the reasons I keep coming back to Los Angeles every 90 days is to continue to be in proximity to the people I want to partner with.
Proximity.
Yeah. So for me, proximity is super important. I need to not only meet somebody, but I need to continuously meet them.
Why?
Because I close the gap on getting them to a yes, right? So I've been coming to the US solidly for 2 years now. There are people that I meet every time I'm here, but haven't done a deal with, because I understand that time's going to be important, and it's hard to close somebody on the first attempt. Right. So if I turn up every 90 days and go, "Hey man, I'm back in town. I'd love to take you to dinner. And I'd love to show how I can help you scale your business." Eventually, when you keep adding value like that, they're going to turn around and go, "All right, let's do it. I think I'm ready for this." So look, yesterday I met up with 3 new speakers who you probably all know and love, and that's kind of the start of the journey. They know I'll be back in a couple of months. We'll do dinner or we'll catch up, and I'll continue to work with them. And for me, that proximity and the ability to continue to add value to them and be close to them, that's what helps me grow my business.
Understood. I've gotten with the like how I shared with you the relationship with Les Brown. It wasn't, "Hey Les, I want to go on tour with you," and it was like, "Yeah, sure, man, come on." It was consistent. I requested it 7 times to go on tour with them before they actually said yes. They said no 6 times. Grant Cardone, the way I got in proximity with him, I had to sneak into a dinner with a suit and act as if at the table, and then that's how I got the coaching and connection with Grant. However, that's how I did it. How are you getting into close proximity? How can someone who's watching, who's now 19 years old, and say, "Hey, I want to be successful one day and I want to get around Michael"? What do they have to do to get in proximity?
Yeah, they need to continue to show up, add value, and not in a stalker way, because that's what starts to happen at this point, but just continue to show up and go, "Man, I love that." Gary Vee talks about this. This is definitely not my content, but add value in people's feeds, right? If I post something and you want to get in proximity to me, add a little nugget in my thing saying, "Hey, Michael, really love this. I went and took action on this piece of advice today, and I got this result."
Okay.
That would get me to respond, right? If you DM me 15 times saying, "Hey, man, I want to do business with you," I'm probably not going to respond. I might respond and say, from a courteous point of view, saying, hey man, appreciate it, keep hustling, we're not looking right now.
Got it.
But if you do things to add value, do things that are going to be perceived as I'm getting wins from you or I'm appreciating you, and you take it slowly, that's probably going to start to get my attention, right? That's one component.
So the first thing I see that you have to get your attention.
Yes.
And one way to get your attention is to add value on your social media feed
Yep.
or through your business or your family.
Yep.
All right. So
Second way is bring me business.
Okay, bring the business.
Brian Tracy taught me this a long time ago. You want to do business with someone? Bring them business, right? So I won't mention any names, but there's so many people that I've built relationships with where I went out there and said, hey, I love what you're doing. Let me promote this to my database for you. And I just love and respect what you do. I'll send some stuff out. I'll promote it. I'll share it, and let me know how it goes.
Okay.
Bring the person you want to collaborate with business. You bring someone you want to collaborate with business, they get a result, and they go, wow, I love that. They're probably going to catch up with you at some point.
Right.
So second step is bring a business. If there was a third and final step, it would be become an advocate of who they are and what they teach. Share their stuff. Be somebody who, wants to learn from them, and just collaborate as much as you can. Figure out ways to not only add value, but to go above and beyond. Do you know what I mean? If they're having a charity thing, or if they're doing something, donate to their charity. Do whatever you got to do to show up and be around and put yourself in that thing of being close to proximity.
Gotcha. Powerful. So number one, show up and give them attention. So one of the things I say on many of the stages I talk about, because of my story, the opportunity is in the show up.
Mm-hmm.
So show up and get their attention by giving value.
Yeah.
Number two, which was totally skipped.
Bring them business.
Bring them business. And then number three
is try and collaborate, try and partner, try and do things that are going to add value. Like recently, there's a guy I want to do business with. He has a charity. I donated to the charity.
Donate.
I didn't donate to say, hey man, I donated to your charities. We should catch up.
Just do it.
I just said, hey, I love what you're doing. I'm going to support you.
So what's your vision now moving forward? Personally as well as, and then also with the business.
So professionally, I believe this is a $1 billion company, and I'm moving towards that in various ways. We do 500 plus events in our physical business, but next year we launch a digital platform where you can access a lot of our programs and a lot of our content digitally online. I believe that will massively scale the business. We're also moving into doing a lot more celebrities on our stage. Do you mean yesterday we had Gene Simmons from Kiss on our stage, and you wouldn't necessarily associate him with success and personal development, but this guy understands the journey.
Right.
Understands the model. This guy has been in personal development. He has been living this for 4 or 5 decades. He gets up every day and he does his thing to get in the moment, get in the, what am I going to do today? Every single day, he's like, how do I make more money? Mm-hmm. But how do I grow other people as well? So we're going to start to do a lot more celebrities next month. We've got Russell Brand on our stage. Again, somebody who's got an interesting story, but he's learned some lessons from this.
Right.
So you're going to start to see sports stars, musicians. You're going to start to see some pretty cool people sharing their story with our audience.
That's probably going to draw people who aren't focused on the success or the education, but focus on the artist or the talent, and then the crossover will happen.
So imagine when the talent goes out and says, hey, I'm going to do this event in Hollywood. I've never done this before, but I just want to share with you guys some of the ups and downs of my journey, and my aim is to give you 5 things that I think will help you get to where you want to be. It's not like I'm telling people, I want to show you my radical way of how I built my business or how I scaled my life. It's just like, hey, come and listen to an interesting person who you all know is in movies or in some area, and just the things that I've had to do to overcome the no's and the setbacks. I think that's going to be a game changer for us.
Right.
I really do. So for me, I'm passionate about personal development. I'm passionate about the education. I'm passionate about developing more leaders. For me, leaders are the people who change this world.
Right.
So from a business sense, that's what's important to me. From a personal sense, Jimmy, I want to become the best father I can be.
That's important.
That's super important to me. I want to become an even better husband. Jimmy, I feel like I'm a good husband. What makes a great husband?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want to become. So on a personal sense, I got big goals personally. I got big goals in business, and I'm finding a way every single day to make sure that those two continue to stay together.
So as an entrepreneur, at least from my experience, there's always like something that's above my head. I mean, not to talk about it, but above my head as in like, I need to hit this target, or this is what's been on my mind as the vision for my company or the vision for me personally. What is that big goal that you have? I understand that you're taking success resources to a billion dollar company, but before that, the big goal that's kind of hanging over your head, that's like, hey, I got to push to create this.
Yeah, look, and I'm when I say I want to create $1 billion company, I'm not doing this for the money, right? I'm doing this and reverse engineering that into how many more people I can help.
Right.
Right. So, I just want to create a company that is so significant in this space that it just helps as many people as possible. It's not about $1 billion outcome. It's just when you get to that level, people start to take you seriously. Right. When you get to $1 million, people go, oh yeah, that's cool. When you get to 100 million, that's cool. When you get to $1 billion valuation, you start to have the biggest companies in the world go, damn, what are these guys up to? Is there anything else we can do? So it's a part of the success journey. You get to a stage and you think you've made it, there's always another level, right? So I just know that we can go so far beyond the billion, but if I get to the billion, I've got even bigger collaborations I can do.
Gotcha.
Right? So some people want to add value to me. It's not about putting more revenue in my pocket. It's about how can you share the content we're doing? How can you say, you know what, I went to that event, I paid $39, so it's not about the money. I loved it, and here are my 3 lessons I learned from spending a day with Success Resources.
Got it.
That kind of stuff would add massive value to me. I don't want you to come and go, hey man, I wanted to help you with your journey, so I bought the big pack, and I bought every ticket, every program you offered. That's not gonna, I don't need that. I want you to just go away and go, you know what, I spent a day with Success Resources. I had Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Gene Simmons. Here are the 3 things I got out of it. And you know what? I loved it so much and there was so much value. Go to an event next time they come to you.
So you have a cause, essentially. You have a for-profit cause. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so you want people to come in and support the for-profit cause, especially when they receive value from it.
Absolutely. There's no way you can build $1 billion company unless there's fair exchange, right? You can't build $1 billion accidentally.
Right.
It doesn't happen. There has to be massive fair exchange where the clients come in and go, wow, I have received so much value from this that I'll spend another $39 and go back next month if they come back to this area.
Gotcha.
That's how you do it. You can't trip over $1 billion.
And how about personally?
Personally, I don't know. I think the personal journey is a personal one.
Got it. You're going to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, you keep it to yourself. I'm always looking to learn. I'm looking to meet people. I want to meet amazing fathers right now. You mean, it's like, I love what you've done in business. I love who you are, but how do you manage all that with 3 kids?
Right.
That's something that I'm looking at right now because I believe I'm a good father, but I want to be an amazing father.
There's always room for progression.
There's always room for progression, but I'm really in awe of people right now who've built successful businesses and are an amazing dad.
Wow.
That's cool to me, right? That's cool. So, yeah, man, I just, as successful as I want the business is equally as successful as I want to be as a father and a husband. So for me, that's a personal journey. I got to continue to invest time and energy in that. And if I do that, I'll be super happy.
So to overall recap our overall, not only the takeaways, but your overall life, what would you say is your, the final question for you is your overall message that you want to give to the audience and let them know like, hey, move forward in this direction?
Yeah, for me, it's become a leader.
Become a leader.
Yeah. I hate this thing right now where there's world leaders out there who are politicians and we kind of idolize and we call them world leaders, where most of them are not world leaders, right? They've got a high-paying job, They're making decisions for themselves. I believe we can solve a lot of the problems on this planet by developing leaders who can solve problems. So for me, if you're listening to this and you're running your business and you're starting out, become the best leader you can be. But bring leaders with you. Develop leaders through your business, through your partnerships. If we can develop so many leaders who employ so many people to become more leaders, we will solve every problem on this planet. That would be my message.
100%. Thank you for being on the show, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.